Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video. Today I want to talk about Acidcore Kicks, which is something somebody requested and I didn't even know that existed. Acidcore seems to be, from what I understand about it, it's like a combination between acid house, psytrance and hardstyle, bit of techno in there. It's a little bit of one of those subgenres that kind of sits in the middle between all the other main genres out there, and it's very interesting. They have very long drops like psytrance, a lot of percussive and psychedelic elements in there, and then that's put on top of a usually like an acid lead sound as well as a hardstyle kick with which obviously also borrows from techno, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of different things involved. I have made a little segment of a song that's kind of sounds like acidcore, and if you want me to do like a full walkthrough of the entire thing, then leave a comment down below saying that you want it, and I'll do a full walkthrough of all the different elements that go into it and kind of develop the whole song out. And before I want to get started, I wanted to quickly say that I wanted to start uploading some of my streams to YouTube, in particular feedback streams. And what I mean by that is I want to provide you guys with a way to get feedback from me in terms of like sound design, those kind of things, mixes, masters, whatever you want. And I wanted to do that on stream, but I think many people don't want that because they feel the obligation that they then need to watch the stream to get the feedback. So for those people, I wanted to upload them to the YouTube as well. And I'm kind of torn between, should I upload them and just call that the video for the day, or do you want me to upload them and also do another video for that day, or do you want me to upload them unlisted and then go kind of post them in the Discord channel for the feedback so that you can always re-watch it and it doesn't like clog up my channel with streams and stuff. So let me know what you think about that, and with that being said, let's get right into the video. Alright, so today I wanted to focus on the kick. There's a lot of interesting sound design going on in the kick. This is my final kick here, which I came up with. It sounds like this. Which of course you can really refine if you want to. But with that being said, let's see where it all started. I'm going to turn off the processing here as well as the EQ. We're going to have a listen to the very first thing I started with. Now, usually hardstyle kicks, from what I understand, are made from 909 kicks. 909 is a drum machine that was very popular. It's the successor to the 808, and if you know anything about rap music, you've probably heard about the 808. The 909 was the successor on that drum machine there, and it sounds like this. So very clicky kick, not a lot of sub there. So this is basically just the same as the psytrance kick tutorial that I did a little while ago, only with that the click is a little bit faster and the volume has this extra hump to create that bass line. And normally with a psytrance kick, it's usually the hump is kind of here, and then you have your separate bass line. But because of the way psytrance or the way that this hardstyle kick works, the bassline is kind of integrated with the kick itself. They kind of are the same thing. It's like a unified thing. So I decided to do it this way, and then I had the exact sound that I wanted. Now the majority of the processing is done by this audio effect track. You can see we have 4 different chains all doing a lot of crazy stuff here, and that just turns it into the kick itself that you hear with all the distortion. And then we have the final EQ here to kind of color it a little bit. So let's go over these chains individually. I'm going to let you listen to them and then I'll explain them. So here we have the sub chain. Now what I was looking for was that kind of bulky sub bass that you really have. Usually the lower harmonics of these kind of kicks are very prominent in the mix. So I used a whole bunch of distortion here, first of all, and then compressed it and also brought it into a limiter to make sure that it wasn't clipping. And then I basically just filtered out all the harmonics that I didn't want. If you listen to this without this final EQ, you can just hear that it's very distorted version of the kick we had before. And by just filtering it out, you get this nice sub bass here. And if we look at the final thing, you can really see that it's not just one sub bass, but there's a few other harmonics too. You can see there's a lot of stuff going on here. So I wanted to layer that up with some mid-range, and I used this layer for that. Kind of that gritty layer here. And this one works mostly on the final bass part here. And for the click, I kind of turned it off. As you can see, I have this volume modulation or automation here, as well as this one. And this makes sure that it mostly acts on that offbeat area of the kick, where that second hump of the kick kind of comes in, and that gives it the nice groove that it has. And this is basically the same thing, but with a little bit of a different setup for the processing. Again, the distortion here is much more pointed towards this particular frequency that I selected. It sounds like this. And the distortion settings, I'm not really going over them, because this is something you need to play with yourself. This is not really important. I wanted to kind of go over the things that are more important to the sound itself. And that's again here what we're doing with this volume to make sure that it's on the offbeat again. We're doing it here. And for this one, just one volume automation. One trick you might notice is that what I sometimes do is I distort one frequency, for example this one here, and then later I kind of get rid of it, as you can see here, and here not so much actually. The reason why that is if you distort a lower frequency, it's going to generate high frequencies. That's the way the distortion works. It introduces harmonics, and therefore you can distort a low frequency and kind of boost it, and use that to generate a lot more high frequencies than if you weren't boosting it. And then you can get rid of that original frequency to kind of balance it a little bit more again, that way creating more of a rich sound that way. Then we have the final track here, which is mainly just a click. You can see there is also a little bit going on here, but it's mainly doing the click of this particular kick. And again, we have kind of a volume automation here. This is more using the drive, but it basically has the same effect. It's just pushing it harder in the distortion when the click hits, and it turns it kind of off for this lower part here. So that's that, again with some particular EQing to make it sound right. And the distortion here is medium curve, which again is not really important. These are the kind of settings that you just can play with on yourself. And the main important part here is the layering, and making sure that you have you know, every frequency, every part of the frequency spectrum like completely covered, those kind of things. So that was phase one. That was basically how I made the initial kick patch, but I wasn't really happy with the final sound of that. Solo is turned off there. So I wasn't happy with this sound here. So what I did is I actually resampled it, and that's part of the main kick here. Here we have that same kick again. But what you notice is that it's low passed. And what I did then is I added two other shorter kicks, both distorted, and again using the same philosophy, just kind of cutting out all the frequencies that we don't want after the distortion, so that the distortion still uses the full spectrum and generates a lot of those harmonics, those gritty things. Here I was a bit, this was a bit different here. I decided to EQ it before it. I didn't want this to be the most extreme distortion, so by EQing it before it, you're already getting rid of all those bass frequencies, which are hitting the distortion very hard. Therefore, it's not going to be as intense as the other one. So this is that first kick we made. As you can see, very distorted. And then this one is a little bit more tame than the other one. And then together with our main kick that we made earlier with that low pass on it, it sounds like this. Finally, you can see there's a little bit of EQing going on here, and then there's my filter rack, which is not really that interesting. I've explained that before. So that's everything I wanted to talk about. Again, this is a request from somebody, and if you want to see the full thing, want to listen to the full song like a walkthrough, like I did last time with the Open Your Eyes project, then leave a comment down below, or set it in the Discord. As I said, the Discord is now the main place where I communicate with you, and that's going really well. I hope to be doing a lot more there, so come and join me if you haven't already, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.